From the muddy trenches of the Somme to the blood-soaked fields of Verdun, these weren't just weapons. They were industrial-scale killing machines that turned warfare into a nightmare. Over 17 million dead, and these are the 10 machine guns that made it happen. Welcome to the era when one man could mow down an entire battalion in minutes. These are the deadliest machine guns of World War I. Number 10. Hotchkiss M1909/M1914. The French workhorse that refused to quit. This air-cooled beast was built like a tank and fired just as reliably. Unlike its water-cooled competitors, the Hotchkiss could keep fighting without needing constant cooling system maintenance in the middle of a firefight. Chambered in 8mm Lebel, this gun could spit out 450 rounds per minute. That's 7 bullets every single second tearing through German lines. The French army relied on over 47,000 of these guns throughout the war, and they delivered death with mechanical precision. What made the Hotchkiss legendary was its strip-fed system. While other guns jammed with mud and trench grime, this machine kept running. French soldiers loved it because when you're pinned down in a shell crater with Germans charging, reliability means everything. The Hotchkiss M1914 participated in every major French offensive from Verdun to the Marne, responsible for tens of thousands of German casualties. It was simple, brutal, and devastatingly effective. Number 9. Schwarzlose M. July 12th. Austria-Hungary's mechanical monster. This gun looked different because it was different. The Schwarzlose operated on a delayed blowback system, making it one of the most unique machine guns ever fielded in combat. Firing 400 rounds per minute in 8 by 50mm Mannlicher, this weapon became the backbone of Austro-Hungarian defensive positions across the eastern and Italian fronts. Over 100,000 were manufactured during the war, and they earned a deadly reputation in the mountain warfare of the Alps. What made the Schwarzlose terrifying was its simplicity. Fewer moving parts meant less could go wrong. When Italian troops launched their 11 offensives along the Isonzo River, they ran straight into walls of Schwarzlose fire. The casualty figures were staggering. At the Battle of Caporetto in 1917, Austro-Hungarian machine gun positions equipped with the Schwarzlose helped inflict over 300,000 Italian casualties in just 2 weeks. The gun's low profile made it perfect for mountain bunkers, turning alpine passes into killing zones where Italian soldiers died by the thousands. Number 8. Lewis gun. The revolutionary light machine gun that changed infantry tactics forever. Designed by American Samuel Lewis, but rejected by the U.S. Army, the British and Belgians saw its potential and turned it into a legend. This air-cooled beauty fired .303 British rounds at 500 to 600 rounds per minute from a distinctive top-mounted pan magazine. What made the Lewis gun special was its mobility. Weighing just 28 pounds, one man could carry it, set up, and unleash hell on advancing enemy troops without needing a crew. The British produced over 100,000 Lewis guns during the war. They were everywhere, in trenches, on tanks, mounted on aircraft, even on motorcycles. At the Battle of the Somme in 1916, Lewis gun teams cut down German counterattacks like wheat before scythe. The psychological impact was enormous. German soldiers learned to fear the distinctive sound of its cycling mechanism. But the Lewis gun truly shined in the air. Mounted on British fighters like the S.E.5 and Sopwith Camel, it shot down hundreds of German aircraft. Aces like Billy Bishop and Albert Ball racked up dozens of kills using Lewis gun-equipped planes. On the ground and in the air, this weapon was responsible for easily over 100,000 enemy casualties. The Lewis gun proved that machine guns didn't have to be heavy and stationary to be absolutely lethal. Number 7. Chauchat, the most controversial machine gun of the war. French soldiers called it unreliable. Historians call it a nightmare. But the numbers don't lie. Over 262,000 Chauchats were produced, making it the most widely manufactured automatic weapon of World War I. Chambered in 8mm Lebel and later .30-06 for American forces, the Chauchat fired at 240 rounds per minute. That's slower than other machine guns, but here's the thing. It was designed as a walking fire weapon. French doctrine called for soldiers to advance while firing from the hip, suppressing enemy positions. The Chauchat's reputation for jamming came from its exposed magazine. Mud, dirt, and trench filth got inside and caused malfunctions. But when it worked brutally well. American doughboys used thousands of Chauchats during the Meuse-Argonne offensive in 1918. Despite its flaws, the sheer number of Chauchats on the Western Front meant this gun participated in nearly every major battle. French and American forces, using the Chauchat, inflicted massive casualties during the final offensives of 1918. At Belleau Wood at Château-Thierry, at Saint-Mihiel, the Chauchat was there, pouring fire into German positions. Over 50,000 enemy soldiers fell to this controversial weapon. It may have been flawed, but it was deadly enough to help win the war. Number 6. Madsen machine gun. The first true light machine gun ever made. Denmark designed it, but over 34 countries used it. The Madsen was decades ahead of its time, introduced in 1902 and still devastating enemies in 1918. This recoil-operated weapon fired at 450 rounds per minute and could be carried by a single soldier. Russian, German, and British forces all captured and reused Madsen guns because they were that good. The top-mounted curved magazine looked strange, but it worked flawlessly even in the worst trench conditions. What made the Madsen deadly was its versatility. It could be fired from a bipod, a tripod, or even vehicle-mounted. Russian forces used thousands during their offensive operations before the revolution. German stormtroopers loved captured Madsens for trench raids because of their reliability and portability. At the Battle of Tannenberg in 1914, Russian machine gun units equipped with Madsens helped inflict 50,000 German casualties before ultimately being encircled. Throughout the Eastern Front, the Madsen proved that a light, mobile machine gun in the right hands could stop entire infantry charges. Reliable, advanced, and brutally effective, the Madsen was a true killing machine. Number 5. PM M1910 Maxim, Russian. The Tsar's death dealer. This was the Russian variant of Hiram Maxim's original design, modified with a distinctive water jacket and wheeled mount called the Sokolov carriage. It became the backbone of Russian Imperial and later Soviet forces. Chambered in 7.62 x 54 mmR, this beast fired at 520 to 600 rounds per minute with bone-crushing reliability. The Russians produced over 100,000 of these guns, and they were absolutely everywhere on the Eastern Front. The PM M1910's wheeled mount made it surprisingly mobile for such a heavy weapon. Russian machine gun crews could wheel it into position, lock it down, and create impenetrable fields of fire. At the Brusilov offensive in 1916, Russian machine gunners using the PM M1910 helped inflict over 600,000 Austro-Hungarian casualties in one of the most successful offensives of the entire war. But the PM M1910 earned its deadliest reputation during defensive actions. When German forces launched Operation Faustschlag in 1918, Russian and early Soviet machine gun positions turned the advance into a bloodbath. The gun's water cooling system meant it could fire for hours without overheating, creating sustained killing zones that German infantry couldn't cross. This weapon was responsible for hundreds of thousands of casualties on the Eastern Front. It was still being used effectively in World War II, proving that the PM M1910 was one of history's most successful machine gun designs. Number 4. Browning M1917. America's late entry that proved to be an absolute game-changer. Designed by legendary firearms genius John Browning, this water-cooled machine gun arrived on the Western Front in 1918 and immediately showed everyone how it was done. Chambered in .30-06 Springfield, the M1917 fired at 450 to 600 rounds per minute with mechanical perfection. This gun was so well designed that it served the U.S. military through World War II, Korea, and even into Vietnam. That's over 50 years of combat service. American forces received their first M1917S in May 1918, just in time for the major offensives. At the Second Battle of the Marne at Saint-Mihiel and during the Meuse-Argonne, American machine gun battalions equipped with the M1917 devastated German positions. The M1917's reliability was legendary. It could fire 20,000 rounds without a malfunction. German soldiers who survived encounters with American positions reported that the Browning machine guns never seemed to stop firing. At Belleau Wood, U.S. Marines used M1917S to break German counterattacks, inflicting thousands of casualties. Though it only saw 6 months of combat in World War I, the Browning M1917 was responsible for at least 30,000 German casualties. If America had entered the war earlier with this weapon, the casualty figures would have been catastrophic for the Central Powers. Pure American engineering excellence turned into a killing machine. Number 3. MG-08 German Maxim. Germany's trademark terror weapon. When soldiers heard the distinctive rattle of the MG-08, they knew death was coming. This was the gun that defined the Western Front, the weapon that turned no man's land into a graveyard. Based on Hiram Maxim's design, but perfected by German engineering, the MG-08 fired 7.92 by 57mm Mauser rounds at 400 to 500 rounds per minute. Germany produced over 72,000 of these guns during the war, and they were the cornerstone of German defensive strategy. The MG-08 was heavy, weighing 136 pounds with its sled mount, but that weight meant stability and sustained fire. German doctrine called for interlocking fields of fire, creating killing zones where nothing could survive. At the Battle of the Somme on July 1, 1916, British forces suffered 57,000 casualties in a single day. Most of them were cut down by MG-08 fire. The gun's water-cooled system allowed for continuous firing. German machine gunners could fire thousands of rounds without stopping, creating an impenetrable wall of lead. At Verdun, at Passchendaele, at the Somme, the MG-08 was responsible for hundreds of thousands of Allied casualties. One MG-08 crew could hold off an entire company. British soldiers described the sound as ripping cloth, but that cloth was human bodies being torn apart. The MG-08 alone was responsible for over 500,000 Allied deaths throughout World War I. It turned modern warfare into industrial-scale slaughter and proved that defense was far stronger than offense in the machine gun age. Number 2. Vickers machine gun. The British Empire's most reliable killing machine. This water-cooled masterpiece was the perfected evolution of Hiram Maxim's original design, refined by Vickers engineers into the most dependable machine gun of the entire war. Chambered in .303 British, the Vickers fired at 450 to 500 rounds per minute with legendary reliability. This gun could fire continuously for hours, days even, with proper maintenance. British forces produced over 100,000 Vickers guns, and they became the absolute backbone of British defensive and offensive operations. The Vickers proved its worth at the Battle of the Somme. While attacking, British soldiers were slaughtered by German MG-08s. But when defending, British Vickers gun crews dealt out the same mechanical death to German counterattacks. The gun's sustained fire capability was unmatched. At the Battle of High Wood in August 1916, a single Vickers gun fired over 1 million rounds in 12 hours without a malfunction. That's not a typo. 1 million rounds. The barrel was changed 100 times, and the gun crew used 100 barrels total, but the gun never stopped firing. This legendary test of endurance proved that the Vickers was the most reliable machine gun ever created. The Vickers was responsible for hundreds of thousands of German, Ottoman, and Austro-Hungarian casualties. At Gallipoli in Palestine on the Western Front, across Africa, the Vickers gun killed with cold mechanical efficiency. British forces trusted this weapon absolutely because it never let them down. Even more impressive, the Vickers remained in British military service until 1968. That's 53 years of continuous military use. The Vickers machine gun was more than just deadly. It was perfect. Number 1. Maskeningewehr 0815 MG-08/15. The evolutionary nightmare that combined firepower with mobility. This was Germany's answer to the Lewis gun, a lightened version of the MG-08 that could be carried and operated by a single soldier during assaults. And it became the most feared weapon of the final year of World War I. Introduced in 1915 and improved throughout the war, the MG-08/15 fired the same 7.92 by 57mm Mauser rounds at 450 rounds per minute. But unlike the heavy MG-08, this version weighed just 39 pounds with its bipod, making it truly portable. Over 130,000 milligrams 08/15s were produced by war's end. German stormtroopers used them during the revolutionary infiltration tactics that defined Germany's spring offensive of 1918. The MG-08/15 gave German assault troops the ability to advance while maintaining devastating suppressive fire. During Operation Michael in March 1918, German forces equipped with the MG-0815 broke through British lines and advanced 40 miles, inflicting over 250,000 Allied casualties in just 2 weeks. The weapon's combination of firepower and mobility allowed German stormtroopers to suppress enemy positions while closing for the kill. The MG-08/15 represented the future of warfare, light, mobile, and absolutely lethal. Though Germany ultimately lost the war, the tactical lessons learned from the MG-0815 directly influenced machine gun development for the next 30 years. The Germans would perfect this concept in World War II with the MG-34 and the legendary MG-42. The MG-0815 was responsible for at least 300,000 Allied casualties, making it the single deadliest light machine gun of the First World War. It proved that the future of infantry combat belonged to mobile, automatic weapons. And that future was written in blood. From the trenches of Flanders to the mountains of Italy, these 10 machine guns changed warfare forever. They turned soldiers into statistics and battlefields into slaughterhouses. Over 2 million casualties were directly attributed to machine gun fire in World War I. If you want more deadly weapons from history, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling us which World War I weapon you want to see next, because the history of warfare is written in steel and blood, and we're just getting started.